Good morning. Good evening, Sarkit. Do you want to connect me?
Ma'am, 1 minute, ma'am. We'll wait.
Am I audible now? Okay, so I'm going to restart because it seems the discussing today is a subject which is so vast that it can probably it would require a series of discussions to to cover this subject. Each of the fundamental rights which is it's going on mute. Okay, so the the other aspect of of as I was to application and how it has impacted people and whether that's permissible in law. The third aspect which we could look at right to report, your right to have public grievances, your right, the right of the media to knowing and the public to know what. So these are some of the fundamental rights which I feel have been deeply impacted. And if we can start with the PPT, I'll go on with the purpose of establishing justice. And when they fail in this purpose, they become dangerously structured dams that block the is to challenge their very humanity. Human rights are not a privilege conferred by government. They are every human being's entitlement by virtue the aspects that you would have seen is that the onslaught of the pandemic has resulted in several policies and lockdown of about migrants. How have migrants been impacted? Should a person have a right to move? Is the lockdown done in a manner doctrine of proportionality referred to by Justice Chandrachud in Puttuswamy's judgment? Has that been looked at? Now, the first aspect which is important we were so-called frozen in space within a period of 4 hours. Now, we did not look at this aspect that there the country who are migrants. There are also several people who are migrants who have migrated not only within let's have a response by which we bring back our people to India. Now we have to look at that response as the to make sure that these people would have isolation. Did we have the infrastructure or the wherewithal in our flights and our planes to keep people those passengers who were compromised? And what did the state do when they came into India? So we've heard of huddled together despite the whole direction of social distancing. They were made to sit together. And police slowly improved upon the facility. So the question is, in India, we have two enactments. We have the Disaster Management Act. We should have been capable and now one of the arguments that is made is that no one could have thought of a pandemic, no one could have thought of a coronavirus. Pandemics or epidemics were different, floods were different, tsunami was different, but there have been precursors. The SARS was a precursor. Napping. In 2013, the Supreme Court in a judgment had very clearly said India as a preparedness in place. So the question is, should we have had all these in place? And if there was a warning in 2030, then why in 2020 are we so unprepared? Can we have the PPT on, please? Sanket, Akriti.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I'll try to upload the PPT. It's not possible. I'll ask Sanket to do that.
He has to put on the PPT because he's the host. Otherwise, if I had been the co-host, I would have added it in, but I can't.
Okay.
So just tell him to do it. So, until that comes on, I'm just going to talk about it without the PPT. Now, let's first look at the right to health. As you know, India did have premier institutions for healthcare which were government owned. Now, initially, for example, in Delhi, you started with the LNJP hospital, and you had AIIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Private hospitals were not recognized, not equipped, not ready, perhaps. By the time the government got its plan into motion, health was in smithereens. No testing was being done. One odd incident came of Gangaram Hospital with regard to a person who was having to run pillar to post, and despite the fact that Gangaram had done his testing, they refused to revert to him. Gangaram was overnight without show cause recognized to be doing this testing till it got a stay. When your state facilities for health are so fragile, can you afford not to take the private hospitals with you? Should the fact, and if I recall correctly, AIIMS is a 1973 institute. That's All India Institute of Medical Sciences, set up under an act of Parliament and was supposed to be one of the premier institutes in India. Except for adding a trauma center and perhaps improving on its eye center, which is the Dr. Rajendra Prasad Center, I don't think AIIMS has gone much further. Now, can you not? I mean, your population has gone up manifold from perhaps 1973, the act, if I'm recalling correctly. But the institutes haven't grown. Instead, we chose to privatize healthcare, make it exorbitant, make it unaffordable by a poor man, and finally, when the test came, and which was also by prodding from the courts, it came to 4,500. As recently as yesterday, they've said that they will reduce it to 2,400, I believe. But healthcare is one of the primary aspects of right to life. As you would know, in the US, the debate during President Obama's time was Obamacare, and how many people would be able to be put in Obamacare. Now, there were millions of people who could not even afford the amount of insurance which Obamacare requires. Forget the fact that many people, that it became something universal. So they don't have, neither does India nor does the US have something like what the UK has, which is the National Health Scheme. Now, this is what Mother Teresa says, and it's very opposite. Now, let's look at the 5-part test and the right to health. Just pause at this slide. Just pause at this slide, please. You'll have to pause at this slide. How do you give and ensure good health to your people? Those who don't have food to eat, those migrants who don't have a roof over their heads, how do you provide them good health, and how do you provide them medical facilities? And then one of the questions that arises is, we are not testing everyone as is being done in the UK. We were not even testing, and we are already into the pandemic after the lockout for more than 2 months. We were not even testing those who were asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. It's only in a recent order by the Lieutenant Governor that has been said, as far as Delhi is concerned, that we'll test pre-symptomatic and asymptomatic people. Who are we testing? Those who have come from abroad, those who have come in touch directly with the COVID-19 patient, and those who have symptoms. Now, there are several people who require testing. For example, doctors who are going to hospitals. You may not directly be meeting a COVID-19 patient, but is it the right to health that a person should be allowed to be able to get tested? Is it a right to health that a doctor should have PPEs? I know one of the largest hospitals in the country turned away most of its doctors, saying we do not have PPEs. So if you don't have kits to provide your doctors, if you don't have N95 masks for your doctors, then how can you go and tell them to risk their lives? As you know, there are several horrific stories we are hearing of people at All India Institute, people who are in the front line, who are the frontline warriors, who have succumbed fatally to the problem. Now, the first aspect of right to health is right to affordable health. The other aspect of health is that the state has to make adequate facilities for those who cannot afford it. Then the state is under a constitutional duty which we have not been able to carry out all these years. In fact, the provision was we provide some privatization be allowed. They be given prime government land, prime state land, only for a few free beds. Very recently, one of the best known hospitals of the country wrote to the state government and asked them, you have given us subsidized land. Sorry, we are doing very well. We want to pay you extra, but we do not want to keep the free beds. This cannot be the attitude of a health provider. From Bombay, from Delhi, from every part of the country, you've heard of cases of people landing up outside hospitals, not being admitted, not having ventilators, not having care, not being able to have access to oximeters to check their oxygen levels and dying. This is a major problem, and I believe that even though the state's trying to come up with various and gather equipment, gather testing equipment, now we also hear that there may be some test drugs which may be coming out. But what is most significant is that either during this pandemic or after this pandemic, the state has to look for adequate, free, or subsidized health care. So this is one aspect which is very important. Healthcare includes water, and I will come to this a little later when I talk about the migrants movement. There are many migrants. There are cases where people died because of lack of water going on in these trains, which instead of taking their normal time took 5 times, 6 times, 7 times the time, and number of people were without basic food and water. Now, when you do a lockdown, one of the aspects which may not be so real for in other countries, but is very real for a country like India, where we have migrant poor labor that has no shelter over their heads, is the fact that you have to ensure that whether a person has a ration card or doesn't have a ration card, he is provided food. Now, the very fact that you don't have an Aadhaar, you don't have a ration card, cannot be a ground for not giving you free rations, which the state had offered. And we'll see in one of the last slides with regard to Kerala, how Kerala responded to it, where every person was given 35 kilograms of rice. So what we saw was, whether it be Bhopal, whether it be Bombay, whether it be Delhi, number of NGO groups getting together, individuals going out and providing food to the migrants. But it is at best a stopgap arrangement. What the state should have done before declaring a lockdown is that public places like government offices, like government schools, like government colleges should have been termed as overnight shelters. This is a state of emergency. You make them into shelters. These migrants who don't have homes, who were thrown out of their homes. What to talk of migrants? There will be cases that I would have come across of middle-level people who've been thrown out by fear by the landlords. You are a student, I don't want you to be staying here because you will be a risk to my life. So, how does the state assure them? The state has at various levels its MCD employees, its municipal corporation employees, its police, its social workers. All the state machinery had to be put in place to tell these illiterate migrant workers, we will not allow you to die roofless and without food. We will take care of you. But people found other migrants and people holed up in rooms for five days without a single morsel of food. So, these are the underlying issues of health which to my mind should have been looked at, need to be looked at, and even though it's late, nothing, for those who have lost their lives, for those whose health have got compromised, those who have suffered innumerably or irreparably, we can't do anything. But we have to at least ensure that whoever can be helped is helped. The right to life includes the right to health care, and as you would know, government used to have a policy where every doctor who was doing MBBS had to do compulsory training and compulsory work in rural health centers and in healthcare places. Some part of the policy will have to be in place because we do not have adequate medical personnel, we do not have adequate doctors, we have not equipped our doctors, we have not equipped our nurses or our healthcare people. And that obligation under Article 14 is far from being a practical reality, even though the courts have given it a lot of importance. Now, in Paschim Bengal, Khet Mazdoor Samiti versus State of West Bengal, the question before the Supreme Court was the non-availability of services in government healthcare centers, amounting to a violation of Article 21. Some of the cases are so drastic where people have gone to hospitals 6, 7, 8 times. Educated people with contacts, people with so that would give an estimate of how people who are not literate have been treated, and that is something which we need to be looked at. A PI was filed in Bandhua Mukti Morcha against the state of Uttar Pradesh to take steps to end child labour. The court appointed a committee which reported the enormity of child exploitation in UP. Bandhua Mukti Morcha is a case which was filed in public interest, and the directions which the Supreme Court has given from time to time has gone a long way in preventing, taking care, inspecting with regard to vulnerable places, child exploitation. In Vincent versus Union of India, the court looked at maintenance and improvement of public health. Has this become a practice? This is not a practice, and it's not being. It is not a reality. We have done too little, according to me. We have to spend far more on health. We have to do far more for taking care of our citizens and our people, which is not being done. The only virus that has been eradicated in the world is polio. So, to eradicate a virus, to deal with the virus, is something which the state should be able to look at under the Disaster Management Act. You may not be able to eradicate it, but the emergency provisions should have been there. Now, Consumer Education and Research Center is an NGO working in the area of consumer rights, and it has filed several petitions with regard to the health of workers. So the court said the health, medical care, protection of the health and vigor of people who are in service or in post-retirement is a fundamental right. Now, what the state has done traditionally is try to make sure that in government jobs particularly, there is free/subsidized healthcare. The same has been in public sector undertakings. Now, when they are privatized, many of these, I have no difficulty, we'll approve it if you like. When they are privatized, then what happens is that this healthcare is taken away from the people. even though when they are in public sector undertakings and in government. And this would have been the case for several, like VSNL and other public sector undertakings which were privatized, or even several public sector hotels which were under the government, like the Kanishka, or there used to be Ashok Yatri Hotel and many other hotels. The service personnel of those had free medical provisions as part of their service conditions. But when they were privatized, these conditions were taken away and they were offered a golden handshake, which is like, even though it's a golden handshake, it's an offer, but the protection of work is only for a year. So it's like being between the devil and the deep sea. So suddenly person finds healthcare, which when you are old takes away a huge proportion of your pension, is suddenly pulled out like a rug from below their feet. Of all forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. Now, in the next slide, I've really spoken about the next slide already, about to the extent of load testing. But what has been seen is that there are several dead people, and their dead bodies cannot, if they are COVID positive patients, the dead bodies cannot be taken away by the family members. They are bought because there is a risk of infection. The dead bodies, you can't do any of the last rites. There is a feeling of loss of dignity of the deceased. The family is not able to perform all the last ceremonies that it would want. And these dead bodies do not get a decent cremation or burial. In fact, in the mortuary at LNJP, several bodies were found dumped one on top of the other because there was no place in the biggest crematorium in Delhi to bury these people, to cremate these people. So the bodies were sent back to the hospital. Now, if that's the condition in large places with large infrastructure, what would be the position elsewhere? Now, the right to live in peace also and in dignity also includes the right to die with dignity. This aspect has come before the Supreme Court and has been taken up a week ago on 12th of June, and the court has also asked the state to report on the right of the decent, dignified right of being cremated, buried, and the right of these dead bodies is also a subject matter which has been taken up by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has also said non-testing of patients is not a solution to the problem, but increase in testing facility, something which has been Am I being audible? Can I be heard? Yes. Can you hear me? Akriti? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because it's coming as if it's shut down. All right. Can we go to the next slide, please? I've talked about endangering lives of doctors and health workers, the fact that there were no PPEs, that there were inadequate N95, and to cover this issue, they kept saying, all right, you don't really need a N95 if you're not operating or you're not with a COVID positive patient. You can just have the ordinary masks which doctors can wear otherwise, which is not correct. And this was not just being done in India. Even doctors in the US face the same problem. Lack of insufficient N95 masks till they managed to import more and more. Now, on 9/6/20, the Delhi High Court disposed of a plea challenging the decision of the Delhi government not to test asymptomatic patients by noting that on 8th of June, the Lieutenant Governor finally passed an order clarifying asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic patients will be tested for COVID-19. So how many? We are talking about 2.5 months after the pandemic became a reason for a lockdown in India. So the pandemic was very real, and yet you are taking 75 days to allow. And there were many people whose entire family was COVID positive, but they remained asymptomatic for whatever reasons. They remained asymptomatic, but they were having health issues. And we've heard of people who have just got knocked off. The reason is that they were asymptomatic but living with COVID patients. And if they had been tested, or even if the oximeter had been used to check their oxygen levels, perhaps they could have been saved. But the best thing was to do the testing, which the government kept very few centers, wasn't recognizing most people, was the court first, Supreme Court, when it first ruled on it, said that the private people, private doctors, private nursing homes, private labs will pay for the testing. Can you see a private lab if the testing is costing 4,500 per kit at that time? And the kits now being imported are much cheaper, so they can afford to do it for lesser. If their own import price is 4,500, can you see someone testing 200, 300 people in a day and paying from their facility, risking their staff, risking themselves, and paying for that? This order was later reversed by the court and said later it will be decided who will pay, but at the moment people should start paying for the testing. Now, testing is a luxury. Just because someone is poor, the state cannot allow that person to die. Health is not a luxury. Health is a right to live. And that's where the state has not been fair and has not got adequate facilities to be fair. So we have to have a better infrastructure in place. And what time is better than the present? So the state must be doing something to look at this. I've basically addressed this issue and told you how accessing testing, accessing preventive care, treatment for COVID-19 is something we have to reach to every person. How did COVID-19 come into India? Clearly, and how did it reach every country? So, as is folklore, it started in Wuhan in China and then spread to various parts of the world. And a lot of people who came back from other countries into India brought the illness with them, and because it's such a virulent type of virus, whoever came in touch directly, indirectly, whether it's airborne, even now the folklore continues. What's the nature and how long it sticks to substances? Does it stay for 5 hours? Does it stay for 8 hours? Is disinfecting enough? Is washing with soap enough? You should wash for 20 seconds. All these for a highly illiterate migrant population who were not the first persons in the first place to get in touch with COVID patients. We owed a duty to them to educate them either through television or radio or through public speeches the way we do during elections, to tell these people that stay in your places. If you stay where you are, your risk will be less. The state will provide you facilities. The state will pay the rentals of your landlords. The state, even if you are not earning and your boss will not pay you because you are unemployed, the state will supplement you. That was the level of education, awareness, and healthcare that we owed these people and that we have been amiss in giving. Now, coming to the next aspect with regard after healthcare, this right to privacy. So, one of the aspects that the state said that was that we should, if we get people into our workplaces, ensure that they will download Arogya Setu, and that will make one aware if there are any patients nearby who are having the same problem of being COVID positive, so that you can save yourself. Now, one of the questions that would come is, what is the percentage of our people who have smartphones? What is the assurance that you have that a person will always carry their mobile with them? What is the assurance the state is giving that the information that I give by downloading Arogya Setu will not impinge my right to privacy and will not be parted away to anyone? None. The state gave no assurance. And the state asked for people to download and employers to be liable if their employees didn't download. They would be criminally liable. Now, one aspect which is a beautiful quote from Lord Acton: power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. What happened was Forget Arogya Setu. Governments all over the world use this and use other techniques to prevent an urgent emergent problem from occurring by becoming the guardians of the people and becoming the protectors of the people in a manner where it impinges on their privacy and make disproportionate intrusions into their lives. Can this be permissible? Korea, for example, has managed to a large extent to control the pandemic, but the cost was that every detail of the person was known to the rest of the people who lived near and around them. This is not something which a person may want to be made public. So then we come to the Puthuswamy judgment. Can we come to the next slide? Come to the Puthuswamy judgment and the aspect of the requirement of proportionality. So if you would recall in the HIV cases which became a huge problem, for example, in the US, one of the requirements was the public information of anyone who suffered from HIV. And the doctors then said that the result was that people who had HIV started keeping it a secret because they didn't want everyone in the world to know about their problem. So in fact, it worsened the problem by increasing the secrecy. So what is privacy? And I'll read from the quotation. Each and every individual's ability to make choices, decisions with respect to his body, personal information, and have complete autonomy over his personal choices, free from state interference. This is what Puthuswamy says. Your right to live, whom you marry, your sexual orientation, your right to religious freedom, your right to live with dignity. Canada's Supreme Court Justice says in R versus Diamond, privacy is at the heart of liberty in a modern state, and the restraints imposed on government to pry into the lives of the citizen go to the essence of a democratic state. I'll just talk to you about the HIV AIDS epidemic and what happened. So this has just been discussed by me. Now, you would remember Khadak Singh judgment. You would remember MP Sharma judgment, which you would have covered earlier in if you have done constitutional law. The Puthuswamy judgment is a right or is assuring a right which we all felt is part and parcel of our right to life. What is the right to life without my having the dignity to live in my private space where I don't impinge on others in a dignified manner to make whatever choices I may need to make and whatever I choose to make. So the next slide. The US Supreme Court, recognizing the technological advancements in Katz versus United States, in 1967 extended the interpretation of the Fourth Amendment to include not just properties, physical places, but also people. And therein lay the right to privacy. So this man Katz, what's important was without a warrant, the police put a recording device on the top of his phone booth that Katz used to allegedly send gambling information. Using this evidence, the police obtained a warrant to search Katz's house and find incriminating evidence. Justice Stewart, for majority, said the Fourth Amendment protects people, not places, but what he seeks to preserve, private, even in an area accessible to the public, may be constitutionally protected. And that's what's important. You don't want a person, you don't even want your parent to be listening to you when you are talking. You definitely don't want the state to be listening to you when you're talking, whatever be the content, however innocuous or non-innocuous be the content, as long as it's not impinging on, say, something which may be terrorism and therefore the state can get permission. So this doctrine that you cannot impinge on a person's private conversation, even if it's in a public booth. What Katz sought to exclude when he entered the booth was not the intruding eye, it was the uninvited ear. To read the Constitution more narrowly is to ignore the vital role that the public telephone has come to play in private communication. In the next slide, we just discuss Puthuswamy's judgment and the fact that there are three tests for determining the right to privacy. The action has a legitimate basis, is for a legitimate goal, and satisfies the proportionality test. Obviously, like every fundamental right, it's not an absolute right. Can we go on further? Yeah, after this, the next slide after. I've already talked to a large extent about Arogya Setu. I wanted to end by telling you that according to me, it was disproportionate, and notice was also issued either by the High Court of Madras or Kerala on the issue, and subsequently the state amended saying that it was voluntary. But to start with, it seemed to be draconian without any protection. Even now, it seems that some of the applications like Google are trying to find ways that the information becomes protected and would not go, that an app is developed that such information in times of a crisis like COVID becomes available to the person as well as to the authority, but not in the not in a sphere where it can be misused and it is protected. Now, one of the aspects of right to privacy by Justice Call was also data protection. Can we have the next slide, please? Yes, I've already talked about this. Can we go further? Yes, the right to education. The right to education has turned on its head. What you are seeing today, what is education? To my mind, education is the right to be able to interact with people, to grow with public discussion, to be shoulder to shoulder with your friends, your colleagues, to participate in social activities, in activities in school, in college, to develop a social structure, and to learn and imbibe knowledge. There is online education which is going on, but the right to education, though as a matter of default, because it's one of the fallouts of the pandemic, has become compromised to a large extent. And that compromise has affected student life. Now, while for the person who has access to a smartphone, I think there is some 42% of the population that has phones, and 52% of them have smartphones. I may be my statistics on this may be wrong, but the fact is that there is not, the entire population does not have laptops and smartphones. And therefore, there is a compromise on the right to education. There is a compromise for those students whose schools and teachers won't have internet. And I'll give you an example. Even the courts have had so much trouble to have broadbands despite all the infrastructure at their disposal. So if we look at an ordinary government or public school where the infrastructure with the students, forget the teachers, they may be provided that, with the institution is not there, their right to education is really suffering. But that is, according to me, an unfortunate fallout of the COVID-19, and it's recognized by lots of fundamental rights, but the question is, it is compromised, and it will remain compromised while the COVID-19 situation is there. The unfortunate aspect is that certain schools and colleges are trying to make hay. They are wanting to charge twice the amount or larger amounts. There are parents who want the amounts reduced because the education is only online. Now, to my mind, and the courts are examining this, so it may not be fair to comment exactly what the courts will hold, but it seems that you can't definitely increase the fees. You can, if you're deferring admissions, you can adjust it over the next years. And so much cushion the schools will have. But you may reduce it because it's online, but you can definitely not increase it. And that also, after this is over, you're going to see huge amount of cases coming up with regard to the rights of students, the right of academic institutions, because academic institutions say we have to pay our teachers, we are having the infrastructure, we have, if we've built on the school and taken loans, we have to pay the loans. So why shouldn't we charge our earlier fees, our normal fees? So there's an argument both ways. The state should have stepped in. The state should step in to see that there is some policy. But at the moment, nothing has happened. And if nothing happens, then the courts will have to step in. Now, I just wanted to talk briefly about restrictions on regulation of speech and expression, because one of the things which the pandemic has brought is hate speeches, is smallness of thought, conservatism. It has brought in people. Please go on further. I've more or less covered these aspects. It has I've covered these. I've gone on from right to education further. So what it has brought is a hatred of minorities, dislike, an infodemic, a disinfodemic to be precise, which in the subsequent slides I'll say. We can pause at this slide, but which I will show in the slide. So take for example the Vinod Dua case. Take for example the Anuradha Bhasin case. Now, while there should be an access to information so that misinformation is not spread, so that through social media a fear psychosis is not created, but there is also a duty for the state to make sure that there should be decency in human behavior. And the media has a large role to play in ensuring that one or another community is not marginalized or stigmatized. There will be people, there will be illiterate people more, there may be denominations that may make mistakes, that may not follow the law. There is also a herd mentality. But what is important is, let's not get carried away by fake news. Let's have the access to transparency of information and conduct, so misinformation doesn't spread. And it's a time when we have to make sure that whatever a state will do, there will always be criticism. It is the story of the donkey and the man. So, however he travels with the donkey, whether on the donkey, along with the donkey, having the donkey, carrying the donkey, or have the donkey carry him, any permutation combination can always be open to review and criticism. When tempers are high, when people are locked up, there's bound to be a vent of emotional and mental turmoil. But that's the time when the state has to be magnanimous with people who have a difference of opinion and keep doing their best with as much discussion as is possible in the present times because of social distancing, whatever is possible, so that we don't add to the flames of bigotry or narrow-mindedness or a feeling of being wronged. So the state has to rise above all this because there is bound to be discontent at a time like this. Now, I just want to come towards the end and give the example of Kerala, for example. I've already spoken about the right to food, but Kerala leading the way. It's the second last or third last slide, if we can go through to that. While I talked of the right to privacy and the right, I've talked to some extent of Kerala leading the way, if I can just talk about that. So the first, and this is something when everybody would have seen on social media, that they say that the countries that are leading the way are countries headed by female heads of state. And the examples they give are New Zealand, Australia, Germany, etc. But I think what leads the way in any country or any part of the world is discipline. If people behave in a disciplined manner, such people will be able to combat the pandemic. So what Kerala did is it reduced the risk of hunger and starvation by giving free ration to all for 1 month. It distributed food and kits to everyone. It set up community kitchens, as I said, in offices, colleges, public facilities, community halls, community playgrounds. Have this for the period till we return to normal. And the Anganwadi centers in the state were told to give free midday meal. So that's how we have to ensure that we are able to deal somewhat with this pandemic. One issue about the right of migrants. Originally, twice the court didn't interfere because it thought it's a matter of policy, and therefore the state was allowed on the representation.
Ma'am, you are unaudible.